Yeah, I mean, Sam was definitely a biter because when you're a little sibling, that's like
Just
all you
all
have
a
in your
biter,
arsenal
yeah.
when you're fighting your older brother. But other than that,
Can confirm. I was a biter. Ask Audrey next time she comes on.
Some things in this world are supernatural.
My name is KJ, and you're listening to the Supernatural Opinions podcast, where some things in this world are supernatural. My pronouns are she, they, and this is the podcast where I talk to my fellow Supernatural fans about Supernatural, and we share our Supernatural opinions.
This week, we're going to be talking about Sam's freaky demonic childhood, and a reminder that discussion episodes are open to all seasons and episodes, and this will contain spoilers from episodes, including and beyond last week's episode, which was season 2, episode 18, which we could have recorded as a double with this one if we knew that this was the crew we were going to have.
That would require planning ahead.
We had some guest shuffling. It's fine.
KJ does a lot of planning ahead. Don't worry.
Sometimes.
You're very good at your job.
And sometimes I plan ahead and then everyone cancels on me and it's fine.
We're not good at planning ahead.
yeah, I'm a Virgo, but not that Virgo, I guess.
Today, I'm being joined by my guests who were all here last week, but let's remind everyone who everyone else is. Let's start with Meredith. Who are you?
All right, I'm Meredith. My pronouns are she and her, and I currently have a cat in my lap.
Yay, cat.
Yay.
And Moira, remind everyone about you.
I'm Moira. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm back again. Woo.
Yay. And Jenn.
Hi, I'm Jenn, she, her, and I don't know, I'm back from like a wedding, I guess, so, but it's like no time has passed for any listeners, so there
Exactly. It's so wild. Like a month passed for us and like a week passed for them, but it's fine.
Time travel. This is the future.
And yeah, we're talking about Sam's childhood, which has been interrupted by demons going way back. And I wanted to start by talking about the 2 episodes of the show that this phenomenon is referenced in. But to be honest, most of our material this week is coming from John's journal, which, you know, take that with as much canon to not canon ratio as you wish.
Canon to fanon.
Yeah.
It is fan fiction-y in that it sometimes does not match the canon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine, but that is where most of our information is coming from.
All right.
But we're going to start by talking about the show. We're going to start in canon.
Yeah, canon is what you make of it.
And specifically 2 episodes in the end of season 5. The first one is The Devil You Know, season 5, episode 20. And that is the one in which we meet Brady, a guy. I was going to say a demon, but Brady is the guy. He just happens to have a demon in him who is using his name.
Rude.
And in the middle of sophomore year of college, Sam's best friend Brady was possessed by a demon at the request of Azazel. He introduced Sam and Jess, and then later on was the one to pull the trigger when it came time for Jess to get fridged.
We don't like him.
No, we don't like him.
Nope.
He came back from Thanksgiving all messed up, dropped out of pre-med, was doing drugs, sleeping with girls. Sam tried to help him get back on track. And Brady gives us the devastating account of Jess's death, that she knew Brady and they were friends. So when he came to her door, even though it was like the middle of the freaking night, she was like, yeah, come on in. And then he killed her.
Wow.
And she was also still alive for part of it.
Well, that's nice. Isn't that always the way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about a quote from Brady. It's a little lengthy. He's having a big confrontation with Sam, and he is talking about this whole phenomenon of Sam being watched by demons his whole life. And he's like, I'm gonna make up for all the times we yanked your chain, Yellow Eyes, Ruby, me, but it wasn't all our fault, was it? No. You're the one who trusted us. You're the one who let us into your life. Let us whisper in your ear over and over again. Ever wonder why that is, Sammy? Ever wonder why we're so in your blind spot? Maybe it's because we got the same stuff in our veins, and deep down, you know you're just like us. Maybe you hate us so much because you hate what you see every time you look in the mirror. You ever think of that? Maybe the only difference between you and a demon is your hell is right here. Which Sam responds to by saying, interesting theory, and then just killing him.
He's like, we're gonna table that for later, which is very Dean coded of him, I have to say.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't feel like thinking about this or giving you the satisfaction of thinking I'm going to think about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Brady, I know you're a demon, Brady, but that's a little victim blamey.
Yeah.
All right.
Like, how dare you let me in your life so I can ruin it?
Yeah.
As though you didn't intentionally pick his best friend, which Sam had probably never really had a best friend for more than a few months at a time up to this point. Like, a best friend would have been an important person in Sam's life, especially since he'd recently been disowned by his family.
It sounds to me you guys are just planning coordinated attack. This poor guy.
Yeah.
Literally.
This episode just started. I'm already emotionally in shambles. I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
It is, though.
Sam doesn't want to dwell on that theory. However, he is kind of forced to confront it just 2 episodes later in season 5, episode 22, Swan Song. Once Sam is possessed by Lucifer, Lucifer shows Sam a lineup of people, at least 5 or 6, and this doesn't include Brady or Ruby, who are both dead at this point. We have Mr. Bensman, one of Sam's grade school teachers, Doug, a friend that Sam made in East Lansing as a kid, and Rachel, Sam's prom date. And Lucifer tells Sam Winchester, this is your life, Azazel's gang, watching you since you were a rugrat, jerking you around like a dog on a leash. I know how you feel about them. Me too. What do you say you and I blow off a little steam?
I mean, I know this is very bad, but at least Sam went to the prom. I hope he had a good time.
I mean, we hope he went to the prom.
Just, he went to the prom.
Because in season 2, episode 20, which we are going to be covering 2 weeks from when this is coming out, which is, not exactly how things went down, but Sam went to the prom and his prom date was also named Rachel. So we're kind of led to believe that this alternate universe where Mary never died is Sam went with the same Rachel. And Dean just kind of like slept with her on prom night. So unclear as to what Sam's prom experience was like, but yeah, it does seem like in show Sam did go to the prom.
See, that's better.
It is better.
Kind of terrible in retrospect because, she was possessed.
She was a demon, but
Yeah.
Poor Rachel.
yeah, if Dean really did do that in the main timeline, I hope that at some point Sam just casually mentioned, remember when you slept with my prom date? Yeah, she was a demon.
Yeah.
Remember when you were so mad at me for sleeping with a demon? Yeah, you did it first, bro.
Dean has to go to the bathroom and gag for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about kind of the timeline of Sam's life, kind of a period between 1983 and 1997. There's a lot of things in John's journal about Sam and Dean's upbringing. Mostly the Cliff Notes version is John's a bad parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his kids should not be with him. But there's also a few mentions of weird things happening in and around their family and Sam specifically. So there is obviously November 2nd, 1983, when a demon visits and Mary is killed. I don't think we need to talk much about that one. I feel like we all know.
I feel like we've
all
covered
too
that,
well.
unfortunately.
Well,
November 16th, 1983, John comes home and he finds, or he's on a hunt, I can't remember the exact details, but he finds the message, "We're coming for the children," written in blood. He gets to where the kids are. They're with a babysitter / family friend named Julie. And Julie has been just chewed to bits. She is super dead, blood everywhere. Sam and Dean are not hurt in any way. They're just fine. But
Psychologically, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Sam's fine, but I don't think Dean saw anything either because Dean is mostly fine. He's not really fine because 4 days from then he sees John beheading a shapeshifter, so it's fine.
yeah.
I would also like to point out that November 16th was the first day that John knew that the supernatural existed. Day 1 of John being in the know about things, this is what's happening.
Wow.
Demons were already okay, let's do this.
But the majority of the activity happens in 1991. I don't know what's special about the year 1991. Sam's 8, I guess, 8 or 9.
Special time, I think. 3rd grade,
Yeah.
Yeah.
John encounters a nest of succubi who claim to have big plans for the Winchesters. And John's don't know what that means, but can't be good. And then we get into the Mrs. Lyle, the Black Seville, Silas saga that plays out over 1991.
Oh, goodness.
We missed something interesting.
April 1991. So April 1st, 1991, Sam's teacher, Mrs. Lyle, tries to kidnap Sam under the guise of taking him to a science fair. She'd been mentioned a couple of times. Sam was really really enjoying school this year. It was like Sam's, second or third grade. He's finally like getting to enjoy school. He wants to go to the science fair. John won't take him, but a teacher offers to take him, and John's like, okay, cool. For whatever reason, all of a sudden something feels really off to John, and he's like, his parental instincts kick in late, but they do kick in.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Not forever though.
Eventually.
They like apprehend Sam. It's a whole like thing. Dean ends up performing an exorcism at the age of like 13.
Well, yeah.
And he saves Sam and John. John had like gotten like physically thrown and was unable to perform the exorcism himself.
It's fine. This is what Dean is for, cleaning up John's mess.
And before they even get home from this whole ordeal, Sam is already left unattended again. And he like wanders over. There's this black Seville that starts showing up, and Sam starts like every time that this black Seville shows up, Sam's over there talking to the guy that drives it. But John and Dean never really get a good look at this guy. April 18th, 1991, John goes to visit Silas, who is in a coma. He's like a friend of Bobby's, kind of, and he's like got some magic powers. I forget what his deal is. He's like a prophet, shaman. I think he's a shaman or something like that. But Bobby's like, you should go talk to this guy, like when he hears about this whole Mrs. Lyle incident. And John's like, okay. And he gets there, and this guy's been in a coma for like a year. And then all of a sudden he just like snaps out of his coma and starts talking like as soon as John gets there. And he's like, Sam's special and something's coming, and John and Dean need to get prepared for it.
That makes sense.
The next day, April 19th, the Seville shows up in front of Bobby's house, and Sam gets in the car with this person and is driven to where John and Dean are going on like an actual hunt, like for deer. Sam just like appears, and John's like, how the fuck did you get here? I left you at Bobby's. Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure I taught you stranger danger.
Yeah, stranger danger, and also gun safety. Like Sam just like runs up on them while they're like hunting.
How old is he?
9.
8, 9, yeah.
About to turn 9.
Okay, well, there's a lot to unpack there, but I don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
And then this black Seville like follows them to Silas's, and Silas is there, and he's like awake, like never been in a coma, and he's like, hey, how about you leave Sam here with me so I can like get a read on this kid. So John and Dean leave for an hour. They come back, and Sam is sitting outside on the porch like, hey, glad you're back. And John goes inside to talk to Silas, and Silas is torn to pieces, like just gone.
You'd think they would have learned by now.
Goodness.
The next day, John finds out that the black Seville belongs to this guy named Anderson, who's a hunter, who's like, yeah, I'm a hunter, and I'm hunting your child because he definitely killed Silas. Like, you left a 9-year-old with a full-grown man who's been around hunters his like whole life, and that guy's super dead now, and Sam's fine. Clearly your child is a monster.
Did it never occur to this man that there are monsters that just tear people apart and vanish?
I mean, probably yes, but also like Sam is starting to get a reputation for being weird.
Yeah.
This guy's also talked to Sam a couple of times, so he also kind of knows who Sam is. Like,
yeah.
And then Dean, there's an altercation that occurs. Dean ends up killing this other hunter, Anderson.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
Again, Dean is also a child.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that Dean couldn't shoot a deer, but he full on shot a man the next day.
Okay, well, Bambi's different. Bambi never did anything to deserve this. People threaten Sam. This is just crazy, though, because it's like proto Gordon Walker, bloodlust, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just too popular in the wrong ways.
Yeah.
I would also, it's not really relevant, but with the deer hunting thing, Sam shows up. Dean takes a shot and misses. Like, he can't take a good shot. Or maybe he like hits a deer and like it like startles, but it's not dead. Sam just appears out of nowhere, freaking out because he thinks that this deer is going to harm his brother in some way, and he just like grabs a gun and shoots this deer. Like, John has a minute of like, why is my 9-year-old so concerned about something killing his and hurting his brother? And he's like, oh, I'm the reason.
Well,
Wonder why.
Yeah.
It's a rare moment. It's like not really self-reflection, but it's like self-reflection adjacent.
Oh wait, he's just doing what I taught him. Huh.
But like that's like the craziest like month. April 1991.
It's like the worst time of our lives. And then the actual actual show timeline starts.
Yeah.
On the anniversary of Mary's death, the 14-year anniversary, John just kind of casually mentions that Sam's been having strange dreams again, which is something that Sam does occasionally throughout this whole journal, usually when he's younger, but it's just kind of casually mentioned, like, oh, that started happening again.
Wonder though, strange dreams do you mean possibly just flashes of these traumatic experiences that he's experienced since he was literally 6 months old.
Yeah, that's very true.
It could potentially just be that.
Could be
No,
that.
it's not trauma. He's psychic.
John's the one describing them as strange. And John also knows about, I wouldn't say all of the trauma Sam's suffered over his childhood, but like a good amount of them, enough to know like this is something that actually happened versus this is something weird. There's other weird stuff happening in John's